everyone, I am Lori Richmond and I'm a children's author illustrator and an artist. Thank you so much for joining me today in Doodle class. We are going to be making astronaut kitties, right? You guys know that I love kittens because of Mona, but this inspiration actually came from someone who sent me a DM saying that their niece really loved astro kitties, and I was like, that's awesome, right? Who doesn't love astro kitties? So that was the first inspiration. Then I found out that yesterday there was a NASA launch of a rover to Mars. How cool is that, right? So I was reading about that this morning, and it's actually going to take 7 months to get from Earth all the way to Mars. So end of February 2021 is when they expect this thing is going to land, and that just like blew my mind. So cool. But I wanted to show you a book about astronaut cats that I love. I think is a beautiful book, and you might like too. It is called Professor Astrocat's Frontiers of Space. Look at that beautiful book. This is a nonfiction book, and the author is Dr. Dominic Walleman, who is a quantum physicist, very impressive, and it was illustrated by Ben Newman. There's a page in this book where AstroCat tells you all about facts of space, but this is a page about Mars. And then there's a picture of the Mars rover. I think that's Curiosity. And I thought that would be cool to share, right? So you guys might like this book. You can look it up after class. Professor AstroCat's Frontiers of Space. Okay, let's get started. I'm just gonna put Professor AstroCat down here, and we're gonna do a materials check. So, of course, I hope you guys have something to draw on. I have my pad right here. I am going to be using the king size Sharpie again. I'm really digging this king size Sharpie. It has like a nice bold line, which I really like for my work. For my paints today, I'm going to be using these liquid watercolors. They're called Dr. P.H. Martin's, and they come in these little bottles that have like an eyedropper. And I love them because the colors are really, really bold and bright. So just like the AstroCat book, I thought it would be nice to do a limited palette today. And a limited palette means that we don't use like every single color of the rainbow. We just choose a few colors and we paint our whole piece just using a few. So I've chosen these two. That's like a gray, a bluish gray, and a black. And I'm kind of considering this one color because I'm going to mix those together. I have an orange, and I have kind of a turquoise blue. So even if you have your crayons, colored pencils, whatever you're using, and you have the whole color of the rainbow and you're not sure which of the colors you're going to use yet, that's fine. Just keep them all out there, and then you can choose as we go along. I also have 2 brushes. I have a big brush today. Big brush. And this like smaller, more detailed brush. And the other thing I have today is a little piece of chalk, this orange piece of chalk. So if you don't have chalk, that's okay. I'm gonna use this to make stars as part of my astro background. So if you have chalk in your house, but you can't find it right now, you can go use it later, or you can use like a white crayon or something. But don't worry, you don't need chalk to draw the piece, but if you have it, great. Okay, so now that we have all our materials, I'm going to switch around to the other side of the table. So I'm going to disappear for a second, but I'll be right back. Moving all of my materials over. There we go. There we go. Okay, so first thing we're going to do when we draw our Astro Kitty is we're going to start with a very basic shape, a circle. So what I'd like everybody to do is draw a circle, but we're not going to draw it in the center of our page. We're going to draw a little bit to the side because we're going to draw the body of our astronaut kitty kind of looking like it's floating. So we're going to need a little more space on the page. So you can kind of put your finger in the middle of the page and then just move it over to the side a little bit, and then that's where we're going to want to draw our circle. So I'm going to start out just with a circle that looks like that. And that is going to be the helmet, the space helmet, right? We can't send our kitty astronaut into space with no helmet. That would be a disaster. So the next thing we're gonna do is on the bottom of the circle, we're gonna just put a tiny line, And then we're gonna move our pen a little to the side and put another line like that. Almost, it looks like our circle has little feet. And then we're gonna take a curve that follows our circle and connect those two lines. And that's gonna kind of be the neck, the connector of where our helmet is gonna connect to the spacesuit. But before we draw the spacesuit, we're gonna draw our little kitty head. So I'm gonna take a smaller circle and put it inside this bigger circle. And it's gonna kind of be touching the bottom of it. So I can do it first, and then you guys can watch what I do after. So there's my circle that's kind of touching that other circle. And that's gonna be our kitty's head. And then I'm gonna add some ears, of course, for our kitty. They're kind of like triangles like that. This kitty has big ears. It's like touching the side of the helmet. Maybe next time this kitty needs a bigger size helmet. So I'm just gonna put 2 little dots for eyes. Very simple shaped eyes today. And a little heart nose. I always like to make the kitty nose look like a heart. I think it's cute. And then we're gonna make a little kitty smile, like that. And then we're gonna put some whiskers on our kitty inside this helmet. So little whiskers like that. See, so we've already got our little kitten in the astronaut helmet. That's looking pretty good. Now we're gonna draw the spacesuit. So the first thing we're gonna draw are the arms. And because spacesuits are kind of like bubbly shaped, right? Like they don't look like the exact shape of the body of the person that's wearing it. They kind of have some bulk and some just like bubbliness to it. That's the best word I can think of. So for the arms, they're gonna kind of look like a letter U turned on its side, and they're gonna look kind of curvy. So the first arm, I'm gonna make like that. See how they're kind of like bubbly looking arms, right? A little more than a cat, a real cat would have like a kind of like a sleeker shape. So we got our 2 arms on there, and then I'm gonna make a curve for the side of the body that goes like this and like that. So see how this is why we had to move our helmet off to the side so we could use the rest of our page to do the body. So we've got a curve here and a curve here. That's gonna be the 2 sides of the body. And then I'm gonna use the same exact shape that I used for the arms, kind of that letter U turned on its side. And I'm gonna draw one here, and then I'm gonna draw one here. Those are gonna be the little astronaut kitty legs. And then I'm gonna make what looks like a letter C to connect the 2. And there we've got our blobby, bubbly astronaut suit for our kitty. Now we're gonna add a little bit of detail to the suit. So right on one of the hands, I'm gonna put some lines, 2 lines that are next to each other like that. Do you know astronauts have those like big gloves that connect to the suit? So that's gonna kind of be the connection of where the glove would attach to the suit on the arm like that. And then we'll do the same thing for the boots, because our Astro Kitty is gonna need some serious boots, especially it's gonna be walking on Mars or the moon or something. And then I'm just gonna put 3 little lines here that kind of look like those Velcro closures or something on the boots that the astronauts have. So we're getting there. Now we're gonna add another curved line here, which would kind of be like a zipper or a closure detail, right? Because that when the kitty gets in the suit, maybe they zip up the suit. And then another detail you can add is like a patch. So you know when you see pictures of astronauts that go up in the spaceship, they have like a patch. It might say USA or have a flag or something. So I want you to draw a patch on your kitty spacesuit. I'm gonna make mine round. I don't know why, just because I feel like making a round patch. And then I want you to draw whatever you want in your patch on that spacesuit. So it could be a happy face, it could be another Mona, it could be an ice cream cone, it can be whatever you want. So I think for mine, I'm gonna do a little heart, because this Astro Kitty loves to go to space. So look at that cute spacesuit. Now our kitty needs a floaty tail, right? Because in space, there's no gravity, everything's floating around. So I'm gonna draw a curvy shape that goes like that. And then I'm going to make a letter C to curve around the edge. And then I'm gonna follow the same line that I made. and that is gonna be my kitty's tail. So one thing that I learned when we got Mona was that when a cat's tail is up with a little curve at the top, it means they're happy. So I think if this kitty really wanted to go to space, this kitty's probably pretty happy right now, right? Floating around in space. So we've got a nice happy tail for our kitty. So the next thing we're gonna do is put a little rocket ship on here, right? Because our kitty needed to get to space somehow. So the first thing we're gonna do is down here in the corner, I want you to make whatever spaceship you want, a space vehicle of some kind. And it could look, you know, I'm gonna probably make mine like a rocket that's kind of like this shape, like that, with a little things like that, like vintage rocket ship looking. Mine's gonna look like that with the tip at the top, and then maybe the door where the kitty came out to go into space. So whatever you want your rocket ship to look like, I want you to draw it down there. Maybe some of you guys are drawing something that looks more like a rover or a capsule, or a banana, right? Like, who said a spaceship can't look like a banana? So it could be whatever you want. But the next thing we're gonna do once you guys have your spacecraft is we have to connect it, right? Because if we don't connect the Astro Kitty to the spaceship, Astro Kitty's gonna keep floating, floating, floating. We don't want that because we want Astro Kitty to come back with some like cool space rocks or something. So what I'm gonna do, just like I drew the tail, I'm gonna draw a curvy line. It doesn't matter what the curve looks like, and I'm gonna connect it to the spaceship. And then I'm gonna draw another one, the same path, connecting it to the spaceship. And just so I can tell the difference between my cat tail and my little tether here, I'm gonna put some little lines on the tether so it looks like a pipe or a very official NASA type thing of some kind connected to the spaceship like that. Super cute, guys. I am loving this. So now, once we've got our space kitty and our space vehicle, the next thing that we're gonna do is put away our drawing tool, and we're gonna take out our colors. So one thing I wanted to show you guys today, I showed you I'm gonna use these liquid watercolor paints. I'm using a palette today. So I have already, before I went live, put the colors in here. So this is my blue, this is my orange, and this is my like grayish black. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint the space background, the dark sky that my kitty is gonna be floating around in. Now, I mentioned the chalk before, right? What I'm gonna do with the chalk afterwards is once my paint dries, I'm gonna draw on top of the paint using my chalk to make little stars and planets. If you don't have chalk, it might be hard for you to draw on top of a dark color that you're coloring. So a little trick that you can do is to just leave some space. When you color around, just leave a little space around, and that's where you can put your planets and everything with the lighter colors that you have. So for now, what I'm gonna do is on my brush, I'm gonna get a lot of color on here. Make sure this is the right color. It is. And I am gonna start painting all of the space around my Astro Kitty. So the space that's around an object is called negative space. And negative sounds like a bad word, right? Like it sounds like it's something that you don't want. But in art, negative space actually has its own shape, and it can help you draw more accurately and draw things better. So negative space is actually really cool, even though it has the name negative. So I'm just gonna go around my Astro Kitty and my spaceship, and I'm gonna leave them with no color for now, but I'm gonna go around and put in this very spacey background. So I'm working in watercolor, so you guys might see some drips that are happening, which is so great. That's why watercolor is fun, because it does things like drip around the paper. If I was using watercolor paper, that would probably happen less. And also because I have my page standing up instead of flat on the table, I might get some drips there too. but that's okay, right? Because the sky and space is not exactly one solid color, right? We could see all different tones in there, so this actually works out well. And see, this is why I have my really big brush today, because I have to fill in a lot of space. And you guys might have a lot of space to fill in too, and if that is taking up a lot of time, you can just do as much as you want now, and then you can go back and fill it in later after class. It's a little faster for me using the paint, but it doesn't have to be fast. You just take your time, do what you can. All right, I'm almost filled in here with my spacey background. Look at that, went around my rocket ship as best as I could. Cool, looking pretty spacey now, you see? Suddenly we've been transported into space. So now I'm gonna take my thinner brush, because I'm gonna do a little bit more of a detailed area, and I'm gonna paint my kitty. So for my kitty, I picked this orange color. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use my orange color, and I'm going to paint in my kitty's ears and my kitty's face with this fun orange color. And that really stands out against that dark space background, right? Looks really good. Filling in my kitty like that. And then for my kitty tail, I could do solid orange if I want to, but I think I'm gonna do it a little stripey. That might be fun. So I'm just gonna go in, make a little orange tip up there, and then I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna put some stripies on my cat's tail, my Astro cat's tail. Look at that. Filling it in with little stripes, little details. Maybe your cat has spots on its tail. Or maybe you're drawing a dog. Maybe your dog's tail has spots. Cool, so I've added in my orange tail. And now the rest of my kitty is all covered up by the spacesuit, right? So I don't need to use that orange anymore for my kitty at least. But what I wanna do for the spacesuit is I want to add some shadow details to it. And that's where that blue paint that I chose, that turquoise color, is gonna come in handy. So I'm gonna take a light turquoise color and I'm just gonna put in some shadow detail. If you wanna paint the whole suit, that's great. Go ahead and do it. Paint the suit whatever you want, because this is your space mission and I can't tell you what to do on your space mission. But for my space mission here, I'm gonna just use this color to add in some details and make it look like this suit has a little bit of dimension. Maybe put some detail there and has a little bit like that. See, I even went over the patch, that's okay. See, so now I've got a little bit of a puffiness, right? More to that bubbly spacesuit. And then I'm also gonna use the blue to add a little bit of detail up here on the helmet. Maybe make a little kind of shine mark up there, a little blue shine mark up there, if you guys could see that. Or just added that little bit there. This is looking really good. And I'm gonna continue with this blue and I'm gonna bring it to my rocket ship here. So I'm gonna add this blue to my rocket ship. Super fun. Maybe I'll leave those stripes that I made on the little wings white, so I'll paint around them like that. And you can put whatever color you want on your rocket ship. Again, if you're designing this rocket ship, you are in charge of this mission, so you can make that whatever color you want. And then again, I'm gonna keep with this same blue and I'm gonna paint the tether that is keeping our kitty from floating out into deep space, which would be so sad because man, maybe we wouldn't see our kitty again. And then I forgot to paint my patch. So I'm gonna go back to my orange. I think I'm gonna use orange for the heart. I'm gonna see if I can use a concentrated of the version so it's nice and bright version of the color. But you should feel free to paint your patch whatever colors you would like to use. Even if we're using a limited palette, I think it's okay to go a little bit you know, out of our palette for painting the patch. That might be fun. And I'm just gonna put a little dark gray on the nose of my kitty like that. Cool, so look at that. So see how that, just a little bit of detail, I didn't paint the whole suit, but now suddenly it looks like the spacesuit is white and it has a little bit of shadow and a little bit of depth to it just by putting in a little bit of those details. So now I'm gonna take my orange chalk, and I just borrowed this from my kids. This is like not special art chalk, this is just chalk from the regular chalkboard. And while I was painting all of my kitty cat here, the area that I painted for the dark sky, this is nice and dry now, or it's mostly dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my chalk and I'm gonna draw on top of it, and that's how I'm gonna make the stars. And if you don't have orange chalk, you could use white, yellow, purple, whatever, because stars twinkle all different kinds of colors. And the way that I draw stars is I make a letter X and then I make a plus sign. So I'll show you here. I'll make the letter X and then a plus sign. And then that's a little twinkly star. So I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna add some twinkly stars, and then some of them are gonna be big and some of them are gonna be little. Some of them will be nice and big. Maybe I'll put a planet back here. I'll put like a planet with a ring around it that kind of looks like Saturn. See back there? And then I'll put some more stars just all around. I have no pattern that I'm doing this in. I'm just putting them wherever I want, where I think it'll look good. There's no right and wrong. I'm gonna put another planet here. Maybe this planet has like stripes on it, and it has a ring around it also, like that. See? So I'm just gonna keep going around. And this is something that's really fun that you could do with all kinds of subjects. I mean, for this it works because I needed to paint light stars on a dark sky, but you could paint a colored surface on your paper and then draw with chalk on top of it, and it gives you like a totally different look, which I think is really fun. And then if you want to make some extra stars that are like way, way in the distance, you can do that just by putting like little dots, little tiny dots around that add some more detail. Very cool. And there we go. I think that we have totally made the next great space explorer, Astronaut Kitty. And I think this kitty definitely needs a story, right? Definitely needs a book, another Astro Kitty book. So please, please, please send me your astronaut kitties. I would love to see them. I will share them. You can DM them to me or tag me at Lori Richmond Draws. And have a grown-up help you look up the story about this Mars rover. It's really cool, and you can see pictures of it and read about how it's going to work and what kind of information it's going to get for us from traveling to Mars. So super, super cool. I will see you guys next week. Keep drawing, keep painting, and have a great weekend. Bye.